Welcome back to another video. It's early morning and I've just crossed the northern Belgian border into a private woodland in the Netherlands, and I'm just got to walk about a kilometre deep into the forest, and I'm going to do a day's bird photography in a specialist hide. So come along with me and we'll see what we can get today. So it's quite a walk, but I've arrived at the hide, which is just opposite me. I'm just having a look at the surroundings whilst I'm here. Before I get settled in, I've got to put some feed out. You can see the hide's well buried behind, but yeah, it's a beautiful spot. Pine trees, a lot of pine trees. There's kind of a clearing here. There's a really nice autumnal feel to it. Lovely autumnal colours and a few evergreens around as well. So what's great is there's bird boxes all around, so nesting boxes, and I can hear a lot of birds, which is a great sign. So yeah, hopefully they'll come in and we'll get some good diversity today. So I'm going to get settled in. Well, I haven't even put the feed down, and I was just getting my camera set up, because it's better to get your camera set up before you put the feed down. If you put the feed down, then the birds come in and you're not ready. So yeah, my cameras are set up, and as I was doing that, I've had a red squirrel, nuthatch, blue tit, great tit, blackbird, starling, I believe. What else did I have? Crested tit as well, which is amazing. I hope that the crested tit comes back, because I don't have a lot of images of crested tits at all. In fact, I think I've only sighted one maybe twice. So yeah, I mean, this is obviously a private hut, and I think there was a photographer here yesterday, so there's still a lot of feed down from yesterday, and I think the birds are basically coming in and feeding on that. Even just as I'm stood here, and it's a very wild area, but even as I'm just stood here, these birds are very habituated. I mean, there's a great tit that's literally 10 metres away from me on a branch just there. He's just come right in front of me. I mean, I won't turn the camera because you won't see it, but there it goes, flies right over my head. So this looks really promising. The challenge I've got now is actually putting out the feed in the right areas, because obviously this is a reflection pool, and I need to be very smart in how I do this because of the focal lengths. So I'm shooting today with my Lumix G9. I've got my 200mm fixed f2.8. I've got my 100 to 400mm f4 to 6.3. That's a very long focal length, so right down the bottom end I'll get some good shots there. But with the fixed, I'm going to be limited, so it's going to be a challenge to get any of the birds that come close in, so I have to be a little bit smart there. I do have a backup kind of like 14 to 140 lens that I can use, but I prefer to use the two kind of main wildlife lenses, the longer focal lengths. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's looking very promising. I'm super excited. It's a really beautiful spot here. If you look very carefully as I'm putting the feed out, as I move to the left side of the reflection pool, you can see a few birds that, despite my presence, come to the tree trunk that's on the right side of the reflection pool. This was an excellent sign that this hut would be very active. So it's been interesting. You can see inside here it's very dark, and yeah, I just picked the camera up because there's a red squirrel. He's been here since I arrived, and yeah, he's basically sweeping up all the bird feed that I put out. Yeah, the light is still quite difficult. It's quite challenging. Obviously, being in a pine forest, well, majority pine forest, what ambient light there is kind of being cut out by the tree canopy. So yeah, some of the kind of species that I'm really interested in that tend to move very quickly. So nuthatch, I absolutely love nuthatches, and the crested tits, which are coming in kind of quite close. It's very, very hard to get images at the moment because I just don't have a fast enough shutter speed to be able to freeze the motion. I got a couple of shots of a nuthatch, but nothing that's usable because I think I was about 60th of a second. And so just the slightest movement, and nuthatches kind of a little bit like kangaroos, they bounce around. So it's been a real challenge. So yeah, I'm just waiting a little bit now to get the light to come up a little bit more so I can kind of reduce my ISOs, my shutter speeds can come up, and then hopefully I can start getting some good shots. But the light is actually really good quality light. It's homogeneous. There's no kind of like shadows being cast, so the reflection on the pool is perfect. Yeah, so I'll try and film a little bit as the different birds come in with this camera and see if I can show you a little bit of the diversity that I'm getting. With wildlife photography, there is always the temptation to take images. You never know what will happen, and so you can often push things to really try and get images. You can see in this video clip the squirrel isn't best positioned. I've some clutter in the line of sight and I can't really get a clear angle on the subject. The key is to bank your shots first. You never know what will happen next. But this red squirrel finally came into a location that I was hoping for, where I could get a cleaner composition and a clear reflection, and you can see that these images are a big improvement over the first image in the sequence. So I've just gone out and put some more feed on the ground. I'm using my iPhone light here because it's really dark. I just took a wander around. I had a look up and the sky is quite grey, so even though we're sort of now kind of mid-morning, I was expecting more light. The reality is don't really have a lot of light here, so yeah, it's been quite a fight to keep the shutter speeds up to get sharp shots, which is always the problem with bird photography because you've got very fast moving subjects. But I've kind of been observing and photographing this morning and had some really good sightings. I believe I got a sparrowhawk come in twice. First time I mean he just came for a few seconds and flew off. I really wasn't expecting to see a bird of prey here. With the red squirrel sequence of images, I mentioned the concept of banking your shots. Well, it's the same approach here. First I took the still image, and you can see by the time I'd composed the focal length for a short video clip, he'd flown away. Second time he came, and I was able to get a very short video clip and some shots, and then he actually flew off onto another perch, which was basically a log that's been sawn down, which was nice to see, and then he flew off. The second visit of the sparrowhawk, he stayed a little bit longer, and so I knew I had potentially 3 compositions. The temptation really is to zoom in, but with the first composition I wanted to use a slightly wider angle showing elements of the forest and also get the reflection. There's a lot of negative space. The second shot was really to get much tighter, eliminate that reflection, going for all that close-up detail. And the final shot, I flipped the camera into portrait orientation and included the reflection. This last shot was all about timing, hoping that you would get just one glance and that direct eye contact with the lens. But yeah, we had a great spotted woodpecker as well. The crested tits have been back. So yeah, it's been really good. Plenty of diversity. The challenge has just been getting those shots with the light right now. So kind of using a few tricks that I know. So trying to use my fastest lens where possible. So I haven't really broken out the 100-400 today. I put it on very briefly and at 400mm f6.3 I was kind of down to 1/80th of a second, which just isn't going to be good enough for bird photography. So I've been sticking to mainly the 200mm, occasionally putting an extender on when I just want to get a little bit of extra reach. And yeah, I've been getting the peak. I kind of got sort of 400th of a second, which was reasonable, but I've been underexposing as well. Underexposing helps me gain a little bit of shutter speed. So yeah, it's been a really good morning so far. I have a lot of spotted woodpecker images, and here I was hoping to get a good shot with those autumnal colours. Unfortunately, this bird was very skittish and didn't visit the hide often, and when he did, he didn't stay very long. So this shot is much more of a proof shot than a portfolio shot, but I'm glad I got it. I've now just kind of observed the birds and where they actually feed and where they perch, and seeing kind of what looks like a good shot, and I've gone out and put a little bit more feed down in a few additional places where I'd really like to get some good shots, because I'd like to either get a reflection or like to get the bird on a perch and so on. So anyway, I can see the birds are starting to come in. They come in waves. You get very quiet periods, you get very busy periods, and now I'm going to turn the camera off because there's like 7 or 8 birds that have just come down. I was really spoilt at this hide for different species of tits. The blue tits and great tits are very common here in Northern Europe, but the coal tit and crested tits less so. They exist, but they're not so easy to spot. At this hide, both coal and crested tits were abundant. However, it was the crested tit I was most interested in. They are beautiful birds, but they are super fast. They fly in, feed, and fly out. You have to react very fast. As my portfolio doesn't have any crested tit images in it, this became a real mission for me during the session. There were a number of great backdrops where the crested tit would land. They seemed to come back to the same spots, and so I just had to be patient. Then I got what for me was the shot of the day. A crested tit bold enough to confront a blue tit that was feeding. 2 different species in the same composition. It was absolutely magical. Not easy to get when they go up the tree. Let's come back. I'll get a reflection. There's some blackbirds that are coming, and they're very territorial. They pretty much try and clear all the other birds. It's a shame because I was just setting up to get a reflection shot of the woodpecker. I got scared off. Don't think I got it. Let's have a look. No, I didn't get it. So that is, I believe, a coal tit, and he's just flown into the window. He's not feeling particularly great and he's hanging there. I think he's just trying to come round, regain his senses. One of my favourite birds is the nuthatch. They have a distinctive body shape, beautiful colouring, Unlike the crested tit, they move fast. They tend to bounce and hop a lot. So watching them at first is a good idea to anticipate how they will hop, bob their beaks for food, and then remain ever so slightly static before flying off again. So then you just have a short moment to actually grab a shot. On this day, I was really struggling for light, and as a result, my shutter speed wasn't as fast as I wanted it to be. I saw one nuthatch prepare to drink. I anticipated, and despite raising the ISO to 1600 and underexposing, my shutter speed was just 1/40th of a second. I wasn't too hopeful, but both images are acceptable. They aren't perfectly sharp, but under the circumstances, they will do. So I've decided to call it a day. Mid-afternoon, the light's really a struggle today. I've had a great day, really enjoyed it. Been really challenging photographically, trying to get the shutter speed fast enough to really get the shots sharp. It's always a challenge with bird photography. It would have been better, I think, if the cloud cover had lifted, but it's been very grey and overcast, and we're in mid-November, so yeah, light's really at a premium. But yeah, if you just kind of anticipate, pick your shot. I think I've got some good ones. I've included them in the video. I do hope you have enjoyed this video and it's provided insights into bird photography during challenging light conditions. If you did enjoy the video and want to help support my channel, the best thing you can do is to like the video, leave a comment and subscribe. By doing so, you will be helping my small YouTube channel to grow. Many thanks for watching and see you at the next one.